The starship Dawnlight floated silently in the black sea of space. Bright lights blinked across its surface as it traveled through a calm sector of the galaxy. Inside the ship, long corridors hummed softly with the sound of energy flowing through the engines. The crew of humans moved around with clear purpose, following strict schedules and maintaining the great vessel that carried them to faraway worlds. Rian walked down the narrow hallway toward the engine bay. He wore a simple gray work suit with a small patch on his chest that showed his role as a technician. He liked working with machines more than talking to people. The machines were honest. If something was broken, he could fix it. People were harder to understand. He carried a small toolkit in his hand. The ship had been showing signs of pressure imbalance in one of the secondary energy conduits. Rian's job was to fix it before it caused any trouble. As he entered the bay, warm light surrounded him. The air smelled faintly of heated metal and clean oil. Giant pipes ran across the ceiling and the walls. The deep sound of the reactor filled the space like a steady heartbeat. 4 other crew members were already working inside. They greeted him with short nods. They knew Rian was not much of a talker, but they respected his skills. He walked straight to the control panel near the reactor. He placed his tools on the table and opened a small access hatch to check the flow levels as he worked. He heard soft footsteps echo behind him. He turned slightly and saw a tall figure entering the bay. The air seemed to change the moment she appeared. She was not human. Her name was Nira. She belonged to the Xelian people, a powerful and graceful alien race that had recently signed a peace treaty with Earth. This was the first mission where a Xelian envoy was traveling on a human starship for cultural exchange. Nira had a strong but elegant presence. Her silver-blue skin reflected the light of the engine bay. Her hair was long and white like silk. Her eyes were bright and sharp, watching everything with calm confidence. She moved with smooth, measured steps that made her look like she was floating. Many of the crew members were still not used to seeing someone like her up close. Rian lowered his head quickly and focused on his work again. He was not good at conversations, especially with someone from another world. But no matter how hard he tried to ignore it, he could feel her presence near him. She walked slowly around the engine bay, observing the human crew and the machinery with great interest. Her long robe moved gently behind her with each step. The crew started whispering among themselves. Everyone was careful when Nira was around. She represented a race that was known for its pride and strict honor traditions. A single wrong word could create trouble. Rian reminded himself to keep quiet and stay focused. He tightened the valves, checked the numbers, and wiped his hands. But then something happened. As Nira leaned slightly forward to examine the glowing power core, Rian looked up for just a second. His tired brain registered how different she was from everyone else on the ship. Her movements were precise, like a dancer. Her posture was straight and strong. Her body looked like it was made for both beauty and strength. And before he could stop himself, his quiet thought slipped out of his mouth. "She looks perfect," he whispered without meaning to. The sound was soft. But at that exact moment, the engine bay became silent because one of the pumps stopped for maintenance. His voice carried across the room. Every crew member froze. His heart stopped. He felt heat rise up his neck. He knew they all heard it. Worse, Nira heard it too. Rian's hand tightened on the wrench. His mind raced. He had not meant to say it out loud. He wanted to disappear, to melt into the floor. No one spoke. The silence became heavier with every passing second. He slowly turned his head, and his eyes met Nira's. She was standing still near the glowing engine. Her head was tilted slightly to one side. Her bright eyes locked on him. Her face was unreadable. She was not smiling, but she was not angry either. The silence grew even louder. The crew looked from Rian to Nira, waiting for something to happen. Xelians were known to be strict about respect. Humans had learned during the treaty talks that even a small insult could be taken seriously by their people. Rian had not insulted her, but his words could be taken in many ways. He could lose his job, or worse, cause trouble between their species. His mouth went dry. He wanted to explain, but his voice felt stuck in his throat. He took a small step back, unsure what to say. The crew held their breath. It felt like time itself had slowed down. Then Nira took a single step toward him. Her movements were smooth and silent. She walked until she was standing just a few feet in front of him. He could see the faint shine of the ship lights on her skin. He could hear the low hum of the reactor behind them. She looked straight into his eyes, and it felt like she could see every thought inside his head. Rian felt his knees weaken. He straightened his back and lowered his head slightly out of instinct. Humans had learned to show respect to Xelians this way. He waited for her to speak. The crew around them did not move. One of the engineers accidentally dropped a small tool, and the metallic sound echoed through the silent bay. Rian closed his eyes for a brief second, expecting harsh words. But when she finally spoke, her voice was calm and clear. "Why did you say that?" she asked. Rian opened his mouth, but no words came out. Her question was simple, but it felt heavier than anything he had ever faced. She was not angry. She was curious. That confused him even more. "I didn't mean to say it out loud," he said softly. His hands shook slightly. "I was just thinking. It was a mistake." Yeah. Nira studied him closely. Her eyes were sharp like blades, but there was no hostility in them. She slowly walked around him in a circle, like she was examining something rare. Her presence made the air feel thick. Rian stood still, afraid that any movement could make the situation worse. "You think I look perfect," she said. She did not say it like a question. She said it like a fact. Rian swallowed hard. "Yes," he whispered. "But I didn't mean to disrespect you." The crew exchanged nervous glances. Some expected a harsh response. Some even took a small step back, ready to stop anything if it escalated. But Nira did not raise her voice. She did not show anger. Instead, she stopped walking and stood in front of him again. "You speak truth without control," she said slowly. "This is rare among your kind." Rian blinked. He did not understand what she meant. Nira looked at the others in the room. Her voice grew louder so everyone could hear her. "In my world, words like these are not seen as an insult," she said. "They are seen as a window into the mind." The crew relaxed just a little, but Rian could not. He felt like he was standing at the edge of something much bigger than he could understand. She turned back to him and lowered her head slightly, which was a Xelian sign of acknowledgement. "You have spoken truth," she said, "and truth is never ignored." Then she walked away, leaving Rian frozen in place. The crew burst into whispers the moment she left the engine bay. Some looked impressed. Some looked worried. Rian leaned against the control panel and took a deep breath. He had never felt so nervous in his life. He replayed the moment in his mind over and over again. He thought it would end with embarrassment. But the way she reacted was something else. It was calm. It was measured. It felt like the beginning of something he could not name yet. And the way she said those last words stayed in his head. Like a bright light in the darkness, truth is never ignored. That night, as the dawnlight continued its silent flight through the stars, Rian lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling. He knew that a single careless thought had changed something between him and the Xelian envoy. He did not know where it would lead, but he knew it was only the beginning. The next morning began quietly on the starship Dawnlight. The soft artificial sunrise spread warm light through the living decks, giving the metal corridors a gentle golden glow. Crew members moved through the hallways with slow but steady steps, ready to begin their daily routines. The hum of the engines was calm, almost peaceful, but inside Rian's chest, peace did not exist. He woke early and sat on the edge of his bunk, staring at the floor. His mind replayed every moment from the previous evening inside the engine bay. He remembered the silence, the stares, and Nira's voice when she said those words about truth. He wished it had been a dream, but it was real. He had accidentally spoken his thoughts, and an alien envoy had heard him. He was sure she would file a complaint or report the incident to the captain. His stomach felt heavy. He rubbed his face and stood up slowly. There was no escaping it. He wore his gray work suit and stepped into the corridor. A few crew members passed him and whispered quietly to each other. They did not laugh or mock him, but their eyes carried curiosity. Some nodded politely, others simply avoided eye contact. It was clear the whole ship already knew about what had happened. Rian reached the cafeteria where the crew ate breakfast. The room smelled of warm food and hot drinks. Screens on the walls showed the ship's current position near a quiet star system. He picked up a tray of food and sat alone at the corner table. 2 engineers from the engine team sat at a nearby table. Rian heard them whisper. One of them finally turned toward him. "Hey, Rian," the man said softly. "Are you okay?" Rian nodded without looking up. "Yeah, I'm fine." The other engineer leaned closer. "We thought there would be trouble last night, but she didn't react the way everyone expected." "I don't understand it either," Rian admitted. "I thought she'd be angry. Or worse." "She's different," the man replied. "Xelians don't think like us. Maybe she saw it as a compliment. Or maybe she's planning something." Rian did not answer. He pushed the food around his tray with the edge of his fork. Before he could eat another bite, the cafeteria doors slid open. Nira walked in. The room fell silent almost instantly. She walked with slow, elegant steps, wearing the same long white robe she had worn the night before. The light reflected off her silver-blue skin as she moved. Crew members straightened their backs as she passed. She was carrying a small black case. She did not look around much, but her calm presence drew every eye toward her. She walked straight toward the captain's table. Captain Mara stood and greeted her politely. Their conversation was short, but Rian could not hear it. Then, to his surprise, Nira turned her head and looked directly at him. Her gaze was steady and clear. She said something to the captain, and the captain nodded. Then Nira walked toward Rian's corner. His fork froze in midair. The whispering around the room grew louder. Some crew members leaned forward, trying to hear what would happen. She stopped beside his table. She looked down at him with calm eyes. "Technician Rian," she said softly. Her voice carried across the room, even without force. "You will come to the observation deck after your shift." Rian stared at her, unsure if he had heard correctly. "The observation deck?" He repeated. "Yes," she said. "We will speak." Then she turned and left the cafeteria without waiting for his answer. Her long robe moved like a wave behind her as the doors slid shut. The cafeteria buzzed with whispers the moment she was gone. "What does she want?" Someone asked. "Maybe it's serious," another crew member said. "Or maybe she just wants to talk," a woman replied. Rian put down his fork. He had no appetite anymore. His hands felt cold. He already knew the observation deck was not a place for casual talk. It was a quiet area near the top of the ship, a wide glass chamber with a clear view of the stars. Important meetings sometimes took place there. The rest of the day passed slowly. Rian worked on the power conduits and maintenance cycles, but he could not focus. He made small mistakes and dropped his tools more than once. His teammates noticed, but said nothing. Every hour felt heavier than the last. When his shift ended, he washed the grease from his hands and walked toward the observation deck. The corridor leading to it was quieter than any other part of the ship. The sound of his own footsteps echoed softly. He reached the large round door. It slid open silently, and he stepped inside. The observation deck was a beautiful place. A curved wall of thick glass surrounded the room, giving a breathtaking view of the star field outside. Countless stars shone like tiny lights scattered across an endless black sky. The ship floated silently among them, a small traveler in a huge universe. Nira stood near the center of the room. Her long robe spread slightly across the floor. In her hand she held a small glowing object that looked like a smooth stone. The soft light of the stars reflected on her skin, making her seem almost a part of the night sky itself. When Rian entered, she turned to face him. "You came," she said calmly. He nodded slowly. "You asked me to." "Yes," she said. "I did." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence of space pressed gently around them. Nira walked closer to him and held up the glowing stone. "Do you know what this is?" she asked. He shook his head. "No, this is a truth stone," she said. "On my world, when someone speaks words that touch our honor, we hold a test of truth. It is an old custom. It does not punish. It reveals what is inside." Rian felt his heartbeat quicken. "And you want to test me?" Yes, she answered. Your words were honest. I felt no false sound in them. But Zelian tradition cannot ignore such words. We face them. He swallowed hard. What happens if I fail? If you lie, the stone will dim. It will show that your words have no weight. If you speak truth, it will shine brighter. I will accept the result, and so will my people. Her calm voice did not carry any threat. It felt like she was explaining something sacred. Rian looked down at the floor for a long moment. Why me? He asked. I was just working. I didn't mean anything by it. You spoke what you saw, she replied. Most humans hide their thoughts. You did not. Truth is rare. I wish to understand it. Rian could not walk away now. He knew that refusing her would be disrespectful, maybe even dangerous for the peace mission. He took a deep breath and nodded. All right, I'll do the test. She stepped closer and placed the stone in his hands. It felt warm and smooth. A soft golden light pulsed inside it like a heartbeat. Look at the stars, she said, and speak only the truth. Rian lifted his eyes to the wide window. The stars stretched forever, cold and beautiful. Nira asked her first question. When you looked at me in the engine bay, what did you truly think? Rian hesitated for a second, but he remembered her words about truth. I thought you were different, he said finally. Strong and graceful. I thought you looked perfect. I didn't mean it to be rude. It was just the first thing that came to my mind. The stone in his hands glowed brighter. She tilted her head slightly. You did not fear my reaction? I did, he admitted. But only after I realized what I had said out loud. The stone glowed again. Nira walked slowly around him, her steps silent on the floor. On your world, do such words bring conflict? Sometimes, he answered. People misunderstand. Some feel insulted. Some feel praised. It depends on who you talk to. As the stone stayed bright, she stopped in front of him. Her voice grew softer. Why did you speak the word perfect? He looked straight at her. Because that's how I saw you in that moment. You walked into the bay and everything seemed quiet. You moved with confidence. And I thought, this person looks like she belongs among the stars. That's all. The light inside the stone grew stronger, filling the room with a gentle glow. Nira's eyes reflected that golden light. She seemed to study every word he said. Her expression did not change, but something shifted in the air. The weight of tension began to ease. You speak without false sound, she said quietly. That is why I came to you. I wanted to hear your truth, not your fear. Rian exhaled slowly. So, this is why you called me here. To ask what I really meant? Yes, she said. In my world, when someone speaks truth, it cannot be ignored. It must be answered. She stepped closer until they stood face to face. The golden light from the stone spread gently over their hands. I accept your words, she said. But this is not the end. By speaking truth, you have entered a custom of my people. I will explain everything soon. For now, you will remember this night. Rian nodded, feeling both confused and curious. He had never been part of anything like this before. Nira turned her gaze to the stars. Her voice was steady. Humans speak with emotion. Zelians speak with purpose. You have both. That is why I will not turn away from this. She reached out and gently touched the stone with one finger. The golden light grew brighter, then slowly faded as the stone cooled. The test of truth begins, she said, but it does not end tonight. She walked past him toward the door. The moment she left, the silence of space returned. Rian stood alone in the observation deck with the stone still warm in his hands. He felt like he had stepped onto a path he did not understand, but one he could not avoid. Outside the glass, stars burned quietly. The ship moved forward through the void, and somewhere deep inside him, Rian knew this was not just a meeting. It was the beginning of something much bigger than a simple accident in the engine bay. The starship Dawnlight moved through the quiet stretch of space like a silent arrow. Far from any planet, the only sound inside the ship was the low, steady hum of the engines. The crew worked on their assigned tasks, but their thoughts often drifted toward one subject. Everyone on the ship had heard about the incident between Rian and Nira, and everyone was curious about what would happen next. Rian spent the morning in the engine bay again. He checked the valves, replaced a damaged coil, and reviewed the power flow levels. His hands worked, but his mind was not fully on the job. He kept thinking about the golden stone, the way it had glowed, and the way Nira had said the words, "The test of truth begins." He did not know what this test would bring. He had never faced anything like it before. He was just a technician. He fixed pipes and circuits. He did not speak at important meetings. He did not stand in front of alien envoys. But now he was part of a custom from another world. The other engineers in the bay kept their distance. Some gave him quick glances, but no one asked him anything directly. It was as if they did not want to get involved. Rian did not blame them. When the midshift bell rang, the door to the engine bay opened. 2 security officers entered. They were not armed, but their presence was serious. The taller one stepped forward and spoke in a clear voice. "Technician Rian, you have been called to the council chamber. You are to come with us now." Rian wiped the grease from his hands and nodded. He followed them through the long hallway. The corridor lights were bright and cold. Every step echoed against the metal floor. He felt as if everyone who passed them turned to look at him. The council chamber was near the command deck. It was a circular room with high ceilings and a large table at the center. Captain Mara was already there, standing near the table with her arms folded. A few senior officers sat around the room. Nira stood near the opposite wall. She wore a dark blue Zillion robe with silver lines that shimmered softly. In her hand was the glowing truth stone. When Rian entered, the room grew quiet. "Technician Rian," Captain Mara said, "please take a seat." He sat down at the long table. Nira walked slowly to the center and placed the glowing stone on the table. Its light filled the room with a soft golden color. Captain Mara looked at him with calm but serious eyes. "You understand why you are here?" "Yes," Rian answered quietly. Nira stepped forward. Her voice was smooth and clear. "On my world, when someone speaks a truth about a Zillion in public, a test of truth must take place. The one who speaks must face questions from the envoy. The envoy must also give answers. This builds a bridge of understanding between both sides." Mara nodded. "This test is not a punishment, Rian. It is a cultural event. But it is important. Whatever happens here will be recorded as part of the mission log." Rian sat up a little straighter. "I understand." Nira reached out and picked up the golden stone. She held it between her hands. The light pulsed softly like a heartbeat. She looked directly at him. "You will speak truth, and I will do the same. If you lie, the stone will fade. If you speak truth, the light will grow stronger. Do you accept this?" Rian hesitated for only a second. Then he nodded. "I accept." She placed the stone in front of him. The room felt quiet and heavy. Everyone watched. Her first question came slowly and clearly. "When you spoke the words in the engine bay, did you wish to insult me?" Rian shook his head. "No, I did not wish to insult you. I spoke what I thought without meaning to. It was not meant to harm anyone." The stone glowed brighter. A few officers leaned forward, watching closely. Nira's second question followed. "When you saw me, what did you feel?" He looked down for a moment, then raised his eyes. "I felt surprise. You walked in with strength and calm. I had never seen anyone like you. For a second, I forgot where I was. That was the truth." The stone glowed brighter again. Nira walked slowly around the table, studying him as she spoke. "Do humans speak their thoughts often?" "Not always," Rian answered. "Many of us hide what we think. Some fear judgment. Some fear hurting others. Most of us keep many thoughts inside." The stone stayed bright. Her voice softened slightly. "Then why did you not keep your thought inside?" He let out a slow breath. "I don't know. I was tired. I was focused on my work. My mind was quiet, and then the words just came out before I could stop them." The stone's light did not dim. The officers looked at each other. Some of them seemed surprised at how honest he was being. Nira then turned and faced him fully. "You saw me as perfect. Do you believe your people and mine can ever see each other as equals?" Rian blinked. He had not expected this question. He thought for a moment before answering. Yes, I think so. Not because we are the same, but because we can understand each other. We can respect what makes us different. I may not know everything about your people, but I believe respect can build trust. The stone grew brighter, stronger than before. The golden light reached the edges of the room. A low murmur went through the officers. Nira's eyes held his steadily. She spoke again. On my world, those who pass the test of truth are seen as people of weight. Their words have meaning. If you continue to speak truth, you may carry a voice between your kind and mine. Captain Mara leaned forward. Rian, this could become something very important. This is more than an incident now. This is about trust between species. Rian felt pressure build in his chest. He was only a technician. He had never imagined becoming part of something so big. But he could not step back now. Nira lowered the stone slowly. I will now speak truth as well. On my world, humans are not fully trusted. Many see your people as loud and reckless. But your words were simple and clear. They carried no trick. This is why I continue this test. I wish to understand. The golden light did not fade. Rian listened quietly. For the first time, he saw something different in her eyes. It was not only strength, it was also curiosity. She placed the stone back on the table. This test is not yet complete. Tonight at the observation deck, the final part will begin. I will ask questions about your world, and you will ask about mine. We will build truth between us. Captain Mara looked at Rian. I will allow this. But understand, Rian, this is no small thing. Be careful with your words. Speak honestly, but also with respect. Rian nodded. I will. The meeting ended with quiet steps. Rian left the chamber feeling both heavier and lighter. He walked alone down the corridor. His mind was full of questions. He did not know why he felt calm near Nira's voice. He did not know why the idea of the test made his heart beat faster. Later that evening, the lights of the dawnlight dimmed into the ship's night cycle. Most of the crew had gone to their quarters. Rian walked to the observation deck again. The door slid open with a soft sound, and the starfield stretched out before him like a silver ocean. Nick was already there, standing near the glass. She wore a simpler robe this time, but the silver pattern still caught the starlight. The truth stone glowed softly in her hand. She turned as he entered. You came again, she said. I gave my word, he answered. Then let us begin. She motioned for him to stand beside her. The stars filled the silence between them. For a long moment, neither spoke. The vastness of space made everything else seem small. Nira finally broke the silence. On my world, truth is not a tool. It is a foundation. If two people share truth, they can walk the same path, even if they come from different skies. Rian listened carefully. On my world, people often hide the truth because they fear what it might cause. Sometimes truth can hurt, but I believe hiding it can hurt more. The stone in her hand glowed brighter. She tilted her head slightly as if weighing his words. Why do your people fear so much? He thought for a while. Because truth is powerful. It can build trust, but it can also break it. People are afraid of losing what they have. She looked out at the stars. Zillions believe strength comes from facing what is real. We are not perfect, but we do not hide what is inside. Rian nodded slowly. I think your people are strong. But strength is not only power. It is also being open. You showed me that last night when you did not get angry. You listened. The golden light in the stone shined brighter again. Nira looked at him. For the first time since their meeting, her expression softened. Many would have feared me. You did not run. You stood and spoke. That is why I test you now. Rian felt a strange sense of pride at her words. He was not sure why. She stepped a little closer. Tomorrow, we will stand before both our people. I will ask questions, and so will you. The stone will show our truth. If it shines, trust will grow. He nodded. I will speak with honesty. Then the path is clear, she said. The stars above them seemed endless. The ship drifted quietly through the void. Rian looked out at the light of distant suns and felt a change inside him. What had started as a small, embarrassing moment had grown into something far greater. He no longer saw Nira only as an envoy from another world. She was someone who challenged his view of honesty and strength. And he, a simple technician, now stood in the center of something bigger than himself. As Nira left the deck, Rian stayed for a while, staring at the stars. He understood that the next step of the test would not only shape how Nira saw him, but also how both their species would look at each other. The test of truth had truly begun. The ship Dawnlight moved slowly through the endless black of space. The stars outside the wide glass of the observation deck shone like tiny fires. The crew had finished their daily tasks, and most of them were in their quarters, but Rian could not sleep. His heart carried the weight of the upcoming test of truth. It was not a simple conversation. It was a trial that could decide his place on the ship. It could also shape the trust between humans and the Xelian people. Rian walked slowly through the quiet corridor. The metal floor hummed under his boots. The lights above his head cast a soft white glow on the walls. His hands felt cold. He tried to calm his racing thoughts, but each step made him remember the moment when he had spoken without thinking. He remembered Nira's calm face and the way her eyes had watched him, like she could see through him. When he reached the observation deck, Nira was already standing there. She was tall, with a graceful form that reflected the elegance of her race. The translator stone in her hand glowed with a soft blue light. A large glass wall behind her showed the endless field of stars. Rian stopped at the door, then stepped forward with quiet steps. Huh? Nira turned her head slightly as he came closer. "You came," she said with a calm voice. Rian nodded. "I said I would. I will face this test." She tilted her head again. "You understand that this is not a small matter. Your words were spoken in honesty. In my culture, this cannot be ignored. A lie can be forgiven, but an honest thought carries weight. You must stand by what you said or accept that your words are empty." Rian took a deep breath. "I will stand by my words." She placed the glowing stone on a small stand. The blue light spread around the room. The ship's systems dimmed slightly to mark the beginning of the ritual. The translator stone was not only a tool to understand language, it was designed to sense emotion and truth. It could read voice patterns, heartbeats, and small signs of fear. If Rian lied, the stone would know. Nira stepped closer to him. "The test of truth begins now. We'll answer my questions with honesty. You may not run. You may not hide. If you try to lie, the stone will show it. Do you understand?" Rian nodded again. The first question came like a sudden wave. "Why did you speak of my body that way?" Rian froze for a short moment. He remembered the way everyone had turned toward him in the engine bay. He felt the same warmth in his face. "I did not plan to say it. I was working and thinking. I was tired, and the words came out. But I did not mean to insult you. I just noticed the way you moved. I thought it looked strong and graceful." The stone pulsed with a warm blue light. That meant the words were true. Nira watched him carefully. "In my world, body is not spoken of without purpose." "Why did your thought carry weight?" Rian swallowed. "Because I respect strength. When I saw how you walk, it showed me how much power your people hold. I spoke without control, but I meant what I said." The light grew brighter again. Stone accepted his words. Nira circled him slowly, like a teacher testing a student. "Do you fear me?" "Yes," Rian said without hesitation. "Not because I think you will hurt me. I fear that I might lose your respect. I fear that I made a mistake that will cost me the trust of the crew." The translator stone glowed bright once more. Nira stopped in front of him. She lowered her voice slightly. "Then why did you not run or hide after this?" Rian met her eyes. "Because humans do not solve problems by running. At least I do not. If I make a mistake, I face it. If I speak, I stand by my words. Even if my voice shakes, I will speak the truth." For the first time, something in Nira's eyes changed. Her sharp gaze softened a little. The crew had often told stories of the Xelian people. Were known to be proud and serious. They believed strength was found in control and dignity. but they also respected honesty. She asked the next question in a calm but deep voice. What does beauty mean to your kind? Rian paused. Beauty to us is not only about how someone looks. It is about strength, kindness, courage, and the way someone carries their spirit. When I saw you, I saw how you stand tall, how you do not bend before anyone. That is beauty to me. The stone glowed again with a steady light. Nira looked at the stone. She knew it could not lie. It had confirmed his words again and again. She walked toward the glass wall and looked out at the stars. Many people from other worlds speak carefully around us. They choose soft words to make us feel respected. But you spoke by accident, without a mask. This shows a different kind of honesty. Rian stepped closer to her, but kept a respectful distance. I was raised to speak the truth. Sometimes it causes trouble. But I would rather speak and face the result than hide behind silence. The stone shined brighter than before. The ship's soft hum filled the room. Nira turned back to him. Do humans always speak this way? Rian gave a small smile. It's not always. Many humans hide their thoughts too, but some of us believe in speaking from the heart. I am one of them. It can be dangerous. It can hurt. But it can also build trust where there was none. The next question was heavier. Did you still speak the same words if you knew this test would follow? Rian thought about it. He could feel the stone waiting for his heartbeat to steady. Yes, he finally said. Because those words were not born from a lie. They were born from what I saw. If I had held them back, I would have been hiding who I am. The stone glowed with strong light. Nira did not move for a few seconds. She looked at him like she was searching for a deeper truth behind his words. You are strange, she said softly. Many people fear this test. They speak with careful steps, but you walk through it with open hands. Rian gave a small laugh. I am scared. But fear is not a chain. It can be carried. It does not have to control me. This time Nira looked at him not with suspicion, but with a quiet respect. She lifted the translator stone from the stand and held it between her palms. The light spread gently across the room. She spoke not like a judge, but like someone who had found an unexpected truth. Your answers have been honest. The stone accepts your words. The test of truth is almost complete, but one question remains. Rian stood tall. His heart beat faster than ever, but he did not step back. Nira asked the final question. Why should I respect your people? Rian took a slow breath. Because we are not the strongest. We are not the most advanced. But we have something that carries us forward. We speak from the heart. We fight not only with force but with hope. We make mistakes. We learn. Build trust, even when the stars seem cold. That is why you should respect us. No? Not because we are perfect, but because we are real. The translator. Stone glowed with a bright blue light that filled the deck. Nira lowered the stone slowly. The test was over. She looked at him with a steady gaze. Your words carry no lies. You have passed the test of truth. Your honesty may be strange, but it is strong. Strong enough to change how I see your kind. Rian felt a weight lift from his chest. He let out a quiet breath of relief. He had faced the test with nothing but truth. Why he had not tried to shape his answers to please her. He had not tried to escape. Nira walked toward the door. Before leaving, she stopped and looked at him one last time. Tomorrow, the crew will know of this. The Zelian people do not forget those who pass this test. You will carry a mark of trust that few outsiders receive. When the door closed behind her, Rian stood alone in the soft blue light of the translator stone. The stars outside shone like witnesses to what had just happened. He had spoken the human way. That had changed everything. The next morning came quietly on the starship Dawnlight. The artificial lights brightened one section after another as the ship moved through the deep silence of space. The crew began their routine work, checking systems, maintaining engines, and preparing for the next jump through the star network. For most of them, it was just another day. But for Rian, this morning carried a new weight. The test of truth had ended, and its result was about to reach every corner of the ship. Rian walked down the long silver corridor toward the central hall. His hands felt warmer than usual, and his steps carried a mixture of relief and nervousness. He had faced the test, and the translator stone had accepted his words. But he knew the story would not end there. Nira had promised that the entire crew would know of it. The Xelian people never hid the results of such trials. As he entered the hall, several crew members were already gathered. Some stood by the tables, others leaned against the walls, and a few stared at him with quiet curiosity. Among them were Liane, Sira, Mina, and the Captain Taro. They had all heard about the incident in the engine bay. They had all expected punishment, or at least some kind of diplomatic tension. Instead, they saw Nira step forward from the other end of the hall, standing tall with calm grace. The captain raised a hand. Everyone, quiet. The sound of boots and voices faded into silence. Rian stood near the center, feeling the weight of so many eyes on him. Nira stepped to his side and lifted the translator stone high. Its blue light spread across the room, soft but strong. It made the air feel more serious. Nira's voice carried clearly. The human Rian faced the test of truth last night. He spoke with no preparation. He answered without fear. The stone confirmed his words. His thoughts were honest. His courage was real. According to Xelian law, this must be recognized. A wave of quiet whispers spread through the hall. Many crew members had never seen a Xelian test up close. Some even believed humans would fail such a trial because Xelian culture was known to be sharp and exact. Nira continued. In my culture, honesty without fear is seen as strength. When someone faces truth with an open heart, they are honored, not punished. Rian has earned the mark of trust from my people. He is now recognized as a voice that speaks with clarity. She lowered the stone slowly. The light faded, leaving only the normal white glow of the hall. Then she stepped closer to Rian. Her tall figure cast a long shadow on the floor. She placed her right hand over her chest and bowed slightly, a sign of deep respect among her kind. Rian froze for a second. He had never expected someone like her to bow to him. The entire hall watched in silence. Then she spoke again, this time looking directly at him. You spoke from the heart when many would have hidden. You showed respect through truth. I honor you. The captain stepped forward and rested a hand on Rian's shoulder. This is something no one on this ship has done before. Rian, you just earned respect from a race that values truth more than power. That is something great. Rian nodded slowly. His chest felt tight, not with fear but with pride. He had not trained for diplomacy. He was not a soldier or leader. His honest words had built a bridge between two species. He had changed the way the Xelian envoy looked at humans after the announcement ended. The crew returned to their stations, but the way they looked at Rian had changed. Before the test, some had only seen him as a quiet technician who rarely spoke. Now their eyes carried something different. They carried respect. Lian walked up to him while checking a control pad in her hand. I thought you were done for when you said those words in the engine bay, she whispered. But now you are some kind of hero. Rian shook his head with a small smile. I am not a hero. I just spoke what I felt. I did not plan for any of this. That's exactly why it worked, she said, and walked away with a grin as the day moved forward. The ship's systems prepared for the next jump. Nira remained near the command deck. She watched the humans work, moving with their usual energy. Her people were known to value precision, while humans often mixed logic with emotion. She had always believed that emotion made them weak. But after the test, she saw that emotion could also carry strength. She walked toward Rian, who was working on a panel near the energy core. You do not speak like most others, she said calmly. Rian wiped his hands with a cloth. Maybe because I do not know how to speak like them. Or maybe, Nira said, you speak like a human who does not hide behind walls. That is rare. He looked at her and gave a small nod. I was scared, but if I had lied, it would have been worse. She stood beside him, watching the soft hum of the core. In my world, people fear this test. Many fail, but you did not. That changes the way my people will see yours. I came here to observe your kind. Now, I will return with a different story. Her words felt heavier than he expected. A single moment, a single sentence he had spoken without planning, had now turned into something that could travel across worlds. It was a strange feeling, but it also felt powerful. Later, the captain called them both to the command deck. The stars outside the glass panels moved slowly as the ship aligned for its jump. Captain Taro folded his arms. "We will soon arrive at the Zelian station. If this trust between us and their people grows, our alliance will become stronger than before. Rian, your words might have just built a bridge that no formal agreement could." Rian scratched the back of his neck. "I just spoke without thinking." The captain laughed softly. "Sometimes that is exactly what the universe needs." The next few hours were busy. The crew worked together to stabilize the jump engines. The Zelian envoy prepared official messages for her people. Rian kept doing his duties, but every so often someone would pass him and nod in quiet respect. Even Sira, who rarely talked to him, stopped by and said, "Not bad, Rian." When the ship finally reached the Zelian station, the entire crew gathered near the docking bay. The station was massive, shining silver under the starlight. Rian had never seen anything so grand. Ships from different worlds floated nearby. As they docked, the door opened, and a welcoming group of Zillions entered. Their tall figures moved with the same elegant grace as Nira's. Their faces were calm but proud. Nira stepped forward and began speaking to them in her language. The translator Stone translated her words to the crew. She spoke of the test of Rian's honesty and how it had proved something important about humans. The Zelians listened carefully. When she finished, the leader of the welcoming group stepped forward. His robe carried a golden mark on the chest. He looked at Rian with sharp eyes. He raised his hand, a gesture of honor. "Human Rian," the translator said in a deep voice, "your honesty has reached us. You will be remembered as the human who faced the test without fear. The mark of trust is not given lightly. It is now a bond between our people." The leader handed Nira a silver band. She turned and placed it gently around Rian's wrist. The band was smooth and warm. A small symbol glowed on it. It was the Zelian mark for truth. Rian looked at it, unsure how to react, but the applause from the crew filled the docking bay. Even the usually quiet captain clapped his hands once. This moment was bigger than him. It was not about a single mistake anymore. It was about what humans could represent. Honesty, courage, and the ability to build trust, even in unexpected moments. Nira spoke again. "This band is not just a decoration. It is a promise. Whenever our people see this mark, they will know you speak the truth." Rian lowered his gaze for a moment, feeling a strong sense of responsibility. "I will not break that promise." Later that night, when the ship rested in orbit and the crew enjoyed a small celebration, Rian stood alone near the observation deck. The stars stretched endlessly outside. He thought about how everything had begun with a single, unplanned sentence. If he had hidden from the truth, none of this would have happened. But he had stood his ground, and because of that, something new was born between humans and Zelians. Nira walked in quietly. "You are far from the crowd." "I just needed a little quiet," Rian said. She stood beside him. "You changed more than you think. Your people will gain stronger respect from mine. You showed that truth can be spoken without fear. That will be remembered." He looked at the glowing band on his wrist. "I still do not know why it had to be me." "Because honesty does not choose the perfect person," she replied. "It chooses the one who speaks at the right moment." They stood in silence for a long time, watching the stars. Rian understood now that humans did not have to be the strongest or the fastest. They only had to be real. That alone could change entire worlds. The crew celebrated long into the night.
Alba.
wetter, wetter, It was the bond formed through truth. He had spoken the human way, and that had reached beyond anything he could have imagined.